classifications of aircraft is airplane, helicopter, and nowadays the drones also have been added. Previously we had only two types, the airplane and helicopter. Now the drone has also been incorporated into its classification. Now, the various types of functions which are going to be performed by the aviation sector or the aviation industry across the world. One is aerospace engineering, the main segment of aviation industry. What the people do in the aerospace engineering, they design the aircraft, they analyze the design, they evaluate the design. After the evaluation process, the spacecraft or the aircrafts are being manufactured. And after manufacturing again, the number of testings for its quality, for its safety and all other aspects are performed. And finally, the spacecraft or the aircraft comes for usage. The second major segment of aviation is air traffic control. One of the other important function to be under the control of aviation team, where the service is offered by ground-based air traffic controllers. What is a ground-based air traffic control? Probably in the small airport, we may not see much of the aeroplane or aircraft on the ground. We may have a very few 2 or 3 flights to be made and about to take off and you would have been 1 or 2 or they get landed. But if you happen to see the top 10 airports, right, in the US or in Dubai or in Germany, in Japan, the Tokyo airport, all these things, at a time 40 to 50 flights are getting landed and more than 50 flights are about to get take off. In such a situation, we need to have the traffic control. Well, efficient air traffic control is essentially needed. And in order to coordinate the movement of aircraft so that they can maintain the same distance between the airplanes. Otherwise, collision may occur. It will lead to a great accident. So the collisions between any two aircrafts due to any wrong signal given or things like that should be always under the control. So air traffic control people are the responsible persons whom they give the instructions or they give the signal so that the aircraft will not have any collision. The third important one is aircraft maintenance. Once it is manufactured and it is tested, it comes for usage, and every aircraft is having its own lifetime. Beyond that you cannot use. For example, if you take our light commercial vehicle like a car, after 15 years we are not supposed to use that. Even the last week the Delhi government has given an order that if the car is used for more than 15 years, the petrol pumps are not allowed to give the fuel for those vehicles. We will verify the RC book and see if it is more than 15 years, do not give the petrol. So the reason behind that is the safety. And second one is pollution, air pollution. So here again, in aircraft also, you cannot just like that use it for a long period of time. So it needs the overhauling, it needs inspection. Any component needs to be replaced. The replacement of spares is essential. Defects and incorporate the necessary modifications. So this is the third segment, and the fourth one is management, aviation management. What the people are doing here? All sorts of business administration, management. When the word comes management, the complete business to be under the control of the hierarchical team, from the top level to the middle level of whatever it is. So complete business administration related to aerospace industry. The fifth one is aviation safety. One of the most important function, aviation safety. More practices are needed. The people are to be trained. The pilot officers are to be given sufficient training in using or in controlling the function while the aircraft is flying. When it gets landed after that, we may not have much problem. When the flight takes off, until it reaches the destination point, it is totally under the control of the pilot and the co-pilot. The main pilot for international flight services, a minimum of 10,000 hours they should have operated the flight. Generally, they are elevated to to become the main pilot of international flights. Otherwise, they be using domestic, and then they have to prove that they have operated the spacecraft, the aircraft, minimum of 5,000 hours without any issues. Right? So the aviation safety and keeping the passengers and flight crews safe while flying. This is very important. The sixth one is civil aviation, and we have military aviation also. So what the civil aviation is doing, it's completely can be a private, it can be under the government control. Commercial and state aircraft mainly transport the cargo, mainly meant for cargo services and as well as the passengers, both domestic and at international level. So that is the cargo's aviation, civil aviation. Last one is military aviation. Exclusively they focus on the aerial war time, the war flights. Even now, recently, India has bought some 39 flights, Rafale flights from USSR, exclusively meant for usage at the time of war. So, the Navy and Army people are always be ready as per the instructions. And each military vehicle is so expensive, but still at a cost of, I understand that it is around 49,000 crores of rupees have been spent towards the purchase of roughly around 39 Rafale military vehicles for the purpose of war. So these are the 7 major divisions or the departments available in the aviation industry. Each team has been trained to do their functions in the most effective manner. Then comes what are the largest aircraft manufacturers available in the part of various parts. One is Airbus. It's one of the largest Airbus manufacturer. It is an European company. It is in Germany. Some of the parts are manufactured in Germany, and some of the parts are manufactured in Ukraine. Not Ukraine, nearby some place. I don't remember that. So mainly USSR is focusing and manufacturing and supplying the Airbus. Second one is Boeing. We are well aware of the Boeing Airbus. It is exclusively for passenger. Huge number, more than 700 passengers can be accommodated in the biggest Boeing Airbus. Boeing 737, Boeing 747, these are all very familiar Airbus manufactured by Boeing industry. Second largest manufacturer. The last one is Lockheed Martin, which is also in US. The patent industry is in US. Within the aviation industry, this is the biggest defense contractor. Their main focus is towards the manufacturing the defense vehicle, not the passenger or cargo vehicle. The passenger and cargo vehicle manufacturing is totally and almost under the control of Airbus and Boeing industry. They have modified so many technologies now, and they are minimizing the weight of the vehicle and increasing the efficiency of the vehicle by incorporating the composite materials instead of using the pure duralumin. All the manufacturers, they use duralumin. It's the main material meant for manufacturing Airbuses. Now, in order to reduce the cost of production, they are now minimizing the usage of duralumin by adding the composite materials, but it has become a failure one. Boeing has faced a lot of issues after adding the composite material to that. So now they have again come back to duralumin usage. So aircraft versus airplane. Quite often we use the word aircraft, we use the word airplane, we use the word space shuttle. Many words we are using. What makes the difference? Aircraft is a very general term. Before the real aeroplane or the aircraft was launched, the concept arises from by using the hot hydrogen air balloons exclusively for surveillance purpose. Because before the aircraft was invented, people were using mainly for the purpose of identifying the enemies who come from long distance. In order to cover, they use the hot hydrogen air balloons, very big balloons, and it is fitted with provided with sensors, the proximity sensor and other sensors, so that we can sense the presence or absence of any kind of things within a particular distance, and that signal comes back, and with that signal they could identify what is happening in a long distance. So a hot air balloon is also called as an aircraft, referred to any flying object. This air balloon is capable of flying with a radius of more than 25 to 100 kilometers. That's how they are designed. It is supported by the action of air and falling structures. It is mainly because of the direction of air will also decide in which direction the balloon will fly or rotate. The second one is an airplane. Airplane is quite heavy in strength. When you compare to an air balloon, the weight of the air balloon is nothing. When you compare to airplane, it is heavier than aircraft, and it is propelled by, the power is given by engine. By burning the fuel, mainly the white petrol is used, that is the only fuel used in aircraft, which is having the very high combustion efficiency. Because of that, white petrol is used, the highest quality of the petroleum product that is used in this aircraft. It uses the aerodynamic concept. What is an aerodynamic concept? The design of wings. When you go out of the campus, often we see the windmill blades. It's not perfectly a rectangle. I don't know how many of you have noticed that. It is not a perfectly square or circle. It has some kind of an aerodynamic design. What is an aerodynamic design? When the air hits the surface of the blade, it should be in a position to rotate at a high speed. That is how we have to design the blades. So the wings of the aircraft is designed with the aerodynamic concept. The windmill blades are also designed with the aerodynamic concept. The concept behind that is, as I said, when the velocity of air hitting the surface is more, it should be efficiently converted into a mechanical motion. So the air velocity is converted into the movement. Here it is a rotary movement in the case of windmill. In the case of an Airbus, it is moving. So that is the concept behind this airplane. Aircraft is not, the hot air balloons is not designed with the aerodynamic concept. It's not designed that way. If you just simply look at the structure of from a simple aircraft type or even the bigger one, we have only four major parts I have shown you. The power plant is nothing but the one which produces the energy for the flight. So that we call it as a power plant or a power segment. And landing gear is one of the unavoidable part of the aircraft, meant exclusively to when the speed gets reduced and when the aircraft comes to the ground level, it should get landed safely. So landing gear is needed. And fuselage is the complete total body from the front to the end. The total body unit, the main unit is called as fuselage, and the tail segment is named as empennage. And wings are most important one because the fuel tanks and other very important segments of the entire plane is located in the wings only. Fuel tank is located only in the wings, not in the fuelage or in the empennage part of the plane. So here you can see a little bit clear. With the technical terms, the propeller is something like a fan blade which gives the necessary direction movement, and wings I already told you, and we have the main body, the total propeller segment is called called the fuselage, and the wing segment, the tail end segment, we call it as the empennage. So we have the stabilizer, we have the, I will just show you few slides that how these components are going to help at the time of plotting. So what is a fuselage? Fuselage in aircraft. It's a main body structure. You can see on the photograph the total body from the front till end. That part is named as fuselage. All other components are attached to it. The wings on either side, the propeller, and the landing gear, the wings, everything. Everything is attached to the main unit. That unit is called fuselage. It contains the cockpit or flight deck. Cockpit we all know where the pilot and co-pilot sits, and the dashboard with all the instruments where you can see. I'll show you that photographs. And passenger compartment, whether it is capable of carrying 200 or 300 or whatever be the number of passengers for the entire passengers carrying compartment, and at the tail end you can see the cargo compartment. The passenger is allowed to carry a minimum of 30 kg of weight, and if you pay extra money perhaps. So on an average, for example, if you have 300 passengers inside the aircraft, probably 600 to 800 kg of weight, that cargo needs to be located safely. And it produces a little lift. What is meant by lift? I'll show you in the other slide. It can also produce a lot of drag. The word lift, drag, weight, these are all the forces which is acting on the fuselage, which causes the turning or the movement of the aircraft. The wings. Equivalent to fuselage, wings are the most important segment of the aircraft because the lift producing part is in the wings. The lift is nothing but the upward force. From the ground level, slowly the runway, the aircraft is moving, and after crossing certain distance, it has to gradually raise from the ground level. It should go away from the gravitational center of gravity or the gravitational force, for which the wings are the most important segment. It also carries the fuel. I told you already, the fuel tanks are located on the two sides of the wings to have the equal balanced weight. And it is filled with the required quantity of fuel. We have the stopover flight, we have the non-stop flight. So accordingly, what is the fuel needed? That much of fuel is totally filled in the wing side only because the tank is big. And in the warp time, they cannot stop if the flight starts flying, and they have the other flight, and where the fuel tank is filled with 100% fuel, and while this flight is flying, they will transfer the fuel. That is how the technology is designed, because they cannot come back by the time the enemy will do something. So while it is in operation, the fuel is being transferred. That kind of such a good technologies are available for fuel transfer, and that fuel tank is located in the wings. It helps keep the airplane from rolling unexpectedly. Rolling is one of the dangerous parts, so how much roll angle to be maintained, that we'll see later, and that is being controlled by the wings. So you can see here the fuel tank is located on one side, and other components. These are all the wing flap, again meant for safety purpose. The aileron is also meant for balancing the wings while it is flying, and the spar at the end, that is also for the purpose of balancing. So almost all the components what you see here, other than fuel tank, it is exclusively meant for when the air velocity changes abruptly, unexpectedly, because the flight is being operated with an average speed of 800 to 900 km per hour. Now the bullet train itself is operated with a speed of 400 km per hour in Germany, all the bullet trains in Tokyo also. So you can imagine this operating the aircraft at a speed of 900 km per hour is nothing. for them. For us, it may do something very high. So now, under such situation, when the flight is being operated or when it is flying across the maybe the ground level and at an altitude of more than 1,000 to 2,000 kilometers from the ground level, and it is flying over the seas, it is flying over the hills. So the environmental changes or what I can say, it is not gradually taking place. So while the flight is being operated in such a different situations, the air velocity is the main factor which changes without any control. We cannot control the velocity of air. Now what the pilot has to do, now he has to control the speed to balance the vehicle so that the safe journey is ensured, for which wings plays a major role. The tail end part of the aircraft is called as empennage, and you can see the stabilizer, now which ensures the stable flight. That's called the stabilizer. Elevator will also have, it will rotate up and down, and it will adjust the directional movement. And the rudder, I'll explain what exactly the rudder is going to do in the total training part of it. Then the next component comes landing gear. Without landing gear, the vehicle cannot be landed, the anchors cannot be landed. So it is also known as undercarriage. The landing gear is otherwise called as undercarriage. It's a crucial system that supports the aircraft. It's a very crucial segment. If the landing gear does not work, the aircraft cannot be landed at any point of time. It's such a crucial component. The flight would have been operated for more than 15,000 kilometers from Chicago to Chennai or Delhi or whatever it is. When it comes to the airport, it has to get landed safely, for which the landing gear has to work very crucially, otherwise the flight cannot be landed at any point of time. So it has two main wheels and a third wheel at the front or at the rear. It is used for parking the aircraft, taxiing, takeoff and landing. All these four operations are under the control of the working of a landing gear. The wheels are common in all the aircrafts. The floats, it is meant for water operation and above the water level, very short distance from the water level. And sky is meant for the snow. There is a snow how the landing gear has to work. So these are all the different segments of landing gear, and which is one of the crucial part. You can see the landing gear here. This is for a normal atmospheric condition. The landing gear is what you see in this photograph is for normal atmospheric condition. As I said, if the snowfall is quite high, you can see the northeast and southeast places where the snow level is up to 1 feet or half a feet below. It's not possible. Even the landing gear is in the proper working condition, it cannot just move smoothly over the snow level or snow bed. So even when you use the cars in the northern part of the places, they put a special cover over the wheel, so that without any slipping, it has the grasping power as well as it has a good stability. This stability is the main important factor when the flight gets landed. So this is a normal type of a landing gears which we find in the vehicle meant for the four different functions. What is meant by taxi? I said the landing gear is mainly another important function is meant for aircraft taxi. What is taxi? Without using the engine power, right, the vehicle can slowly move to certain distance. Right, the vehicle can be operated to certain distance very smoothly with a very low speed or very low velocity. That is called the aircraft taxi. Now, for which landing gear is very essential. The function of landing gear plays a key role in making the aircraft taxi, slowly moving on the runway without operating the engine power. It is possible to do for a certain distance so that it can stop when the gate comes, the gate point comes. Next, another important segment I said, the power plant. Without the engine, without fuel, without the process, what we call it as a combustion process burning the fuel, it is not possible to produce the necessary energy. And that is being done by the power plant. It's not like a thermal power plant, hydro power, not that one. Here the word power plant indicates the exclusively the engine which is supported by the fuel and the burning mechanism, the fuel burning mechanism. That totally we call it as a power plant. So we have the main part engine and we have the firewall which will protect the heat not to get penetrated beyond that, and propeller is like a fan blade which is while the flight gets take off, the propeller unit should work perfectly. Otherwise the flight cannot take off is not possible. And this cowling, but that's over outer cover. I'll show you what is the function of these components. So the main part is what we call it as in the power plant. It is a removable covering or enclosure. It can be removed. When the vehicle gets landed, the aircraft gets landed, it feels so hot. So they will remove it so that the atmospheric air can cool the entire engine unit. So it is a removable cover, often made of sheet metal. Thin sheet metal is used, but it should not undergo any corrosion. Any component used in aircraft manufacturing should not be affected by the corrosion. Corrosion is one of the chemical reaction. The iron reacts with oxygen, which produces iron oxide layer. That is called corrosion. Now, if the component gets corroded, its life is completely reduced like anything. And each and every component, from a small nut and bolt to the huge engine unit or the wings unit or the fuselage unit, they are using such a high quality metallic composition, like particularly duralumin, which will not get corroded irrespective of the climatic conditions. If the flight is flying over the sea, obviously you can see the soft breeze will be sensed. Since the passengers are sitting inside the closed thing, you will not be able to see. When you go to the seashore, obviously you can feel that soft breeze. That salt will should not corrode any component of this. So the sheet metal what is used here, or they go for fiberglass. Fiberglass will not get corroded at any point of time, and that streamlines the engine and its component. This part is called as cowling. The propeller unit, the front end, we can see the propeller unit. The fan blade normally will have a minimum of 2 blades and maximum of even 6 blades are there, like a fan blade. It is also known as an air screw, which converts the rotary motion. The rotational movement is getting converted from an engine into thrust. Thrust means force. The force needed to lift the airbus. What is the minimum force required to lift the airbus so that it can go away from the gravitational force? Otherwise, it will be pulled down. If you throw anything, it comes down. The law we know it is because of the gravitational force. So the vehicle has to be it has to go away from the gravitational force, for which the rotary motion is being converted into thrust is nothing but the upward energy or the force. And it has 2 components. This is called the propeller blade and this front unit is called the propeller hub. The cockpit, the another main segment of the airbus, and these 2 seats are meant for pilot and co-pilot. Whether it is a domestic flight or international flight, they have the main pilot and the co-pilot. And this is fully provided with the n number of instruments. I'll show you the major instruments in the following few slides. The main instruments which indicates maybe the temperature, the air velocity, the air direction, what is the height with which the flight is now flying, all those things are being sensed and it is given by the various number of devices, instruments what we find at this point of time. The last one, without energy, whether you have the empennage or fuselage or the cockpit, we need the vehicle needs energy. The aircraft needs energy. So, how the engine works? In one simple slide I have put, actually around 100 slides are there to explain about the combustion process and the efficiency calculation and all. I have only one slide. So, the air is taken inside. And we have 3 stages of filtration. The air should not have any kind of this thing. So filters are there which will filter the dust and other things, and the pure air enters inside. And the burners are provided. How many number of burners are needed? The design will decide whether what is the engine capacity. Accordingly, the number of burners are to be designed. And in the combustion chamber, the closed area where the gas fuel mixture is burned, that is called the combustion chamber. Combustion means burning. So sufficient quantity of air and the fuel is mixed thoroughly inside the combustion chamber and it gets burned to produce the necessary heat energy. That heat energy which goes out of that is converted into mechanical energy. That mechanical energy is needed for lifting the vehicle and making the aircraft fly. The tail end part of, so we started from the front end, now I come to the tail end segment of the airplane, that is called empennage, and where you have, the tail provides the stability. The tail end provides the maximum stability irrespective of the wind velocity while the flight is being in operation. Now comes the main one. I told about the velocity of the air plays a greater role in the stable and safe operation of that. There are 4 different force components. One is thrust, second one is lift, you can see, and drag, weight. So lift is upward force. What is the maximum force we need for the aircraft to get lifted up? Okay, there is an equivalent force, that is weight of the flight, which will pull down towards the ground level. That is the downward force. The forward force is called thrust. The aircraft will move in the forward direction while it is flying, and the reverse one is called drag. Now, calculating these 4 force components and maintaining the required lift, drag, thrust, and weight will ensure the safe operation of the wing. If any problem arises in balancing any one of these force components, will obviously result in a negative things. So lift is while in flight. What exactly the word lift indicates? While in flight, the airplane is supported by the force. That force, that is upward force. It is acting opposite to gravitational force. Gravitational force will pull down towards the ground. Lift will try to pull up away from the gravitational force. So it is acting opposite to the gravity and it is generated whenever the air flows smoothly over the wings. The airflow will always be sensed by the huge surface of the wings. When the lift exceeds gravity, the aircraft will leave the ground. Look at this. This is the main important point. When the lift exceeds the gravitational force, until then the flight cannot go up. It has to exceed the gravitational force. The next one is weight. It is opposite to lift. It is caused by gravity and it will try to pull down the aircraft towards the ground. Next one is thrust, which is meant for the main forward movement. The airplane propeller acts like a wing. I showed you the propeller component that acts like a wing for the vehicle to turn on its side. Wherever the turning is needed, the propeller, the thrust will help, the thrust force will help to make safe turning of the vehicle. Low pressure in front of the propeller pulls the airplane forward. Always there is a pressure difference exists. Always there is a difference in air velocity exists. The difference in air pressure causes the airplane either to move in the forward direction or get lifted up or go down while it is getting landed. All those things are being mainly due to the difference in the air pressure created. The drag is the force of opposite to thrust. Right? It is opposite to thrust. Next one is the pilot control. How the pilot controls the vehicle totally. That's one main control is called as yoke. It is something like a stick. It has it is made up of fiber optic material, good quality fiber optic material, and it has it will look like a gear. It's shifting the gear in the car. So it is like a steering wheel in a car. It is used to pitch the airplane up and down. What is meant by pitching, what is meant by roll, what is meant by yaw, I will show you in the next upcoming slides. So it is used to pitch the airplane up and down, whether to go up or to come down. That is being controlled by the yoke component, which is under the control of the pilot. When you roll left or right, you can move the ailerons. It's another part of your aircraft. So you can see the yoke, like how we are controlling the steering in a car. That is how the pilot is operating the yoke, whereby the primary, it is one of the main primary flight control device. The speed is controlled by yoke. It allows the pilot to manipulate the attitude and direction. In what direction the flight has to turn, when it has to turn, whether it has to turn towards left or right. All those things are under the control of the main component, which is nothing but which called as a yoke.
Where is control most? In two-wheeler, four-wheeler, you are taking this one. This is controlling the tires. It is controlling tires.
Here it is the direction. When the aircraft is flying, when he wants to take a directional change, rotation, he will turn towards left or right.
That's connected to air.
Everything is connected to air pressure and air velocity.
Which part of the aircraft is connected to the
In the front end, I showed you the propeller with the propeller hub. That will cause the turn because of this operation. Now I told you in the previous slide, pitching yaw roll mechanism. You can see the pitching is nothing but the airplane goes up and down. It's not always the way the Airbus is flying at a constant height. In some cases it moves up, sometimes it goes down, and that part of function is named as pitching the airplane, controlling the airplane to go up and down, and you can see the respective dashboard unit, the control devices which will indicate at what height now the flight is flying. Similarly, the roll. It is not pitching going up and down, rather it rolls the airplane left and right, whether it has to turn left or right. That is being calculated by the roll mechanism for the force needed to return so that it is balanced condition is ensured. The rudder part is another important unit, control unit. It is a movable part of airplane chain. You can see here, like a car pedaling, the pilot will operate the pedal. Alright? So by pressing the this unit, which is called as a rudder, now it is responsible for ground steering. That is called as yaw movement. That technically we call that as yaw. That movement is called yaw. What is yawing? Moving the nose of airplane left or right.
pilot, co-pilot, both are there. Both will have these options or
No, madam, it's only one unit. Only main pilot will do. And in case
pilot has to take up his seat, then the pilot has to go.
Yes.
Like the
and there is an auto switch available. When the the pilot wants to go to restroom and all, he can switch on the auto mode. It can be switched to auto mode. The co-pilot can just observe whether it is.
Co-pilot cannot operate.
No, he will not operate. He will not operate.
We are getting driving training.
No, co-pilot is the main pilot is totally responsible for all its.
Only one unit will be there.
Yes. But every flight is having a co-pilot.
Yeah, but they will be there. Only observation.
Yes, they will observe. If any problem arises, they will technically discuss and they will take a decision to have a safe flight movement. And when he wants to go for restroom and all, he can switch on the auto. So the flight will automatically fly by activating the auto.
But the recent backlash, the pilot, the black box situation, they were getting to
The Mayday signal.
They had a discussion, the last recent analysis they were that the pilot asked the co-pilot why was stopping the fuel injection is an engine.
No, what I read there are.
In such case, so co-pilot is monitoring all the operations.
Yes, he has to
The
monitor.
pilot, if he is having any doubt, he can ask co-pilot. He can do all the analysis.
Yes,
he can see the information.
He has that freedom to work along with the pilot always. But what is the finally
Is
they
there
post
a
this?
possibility for a co-pilot to inject the fuel and stop the fuel? There is a possibility.
No, when any emergency arises,
He can inject the fuel or he can stop.
only at the time of emergency. Otherwise, it's not there. Because when the flight takes off till it gets landed, it is connected through radar. The signal is continuously coming from the air traffic control room. And if the signal fails, means the vehicle is, the aircraft is in some kind of undesirable situation.
Currently, they just told that both engines fuel flows.
They said both the engines were not working
Fuel is stopping.
and
Fuel
fuel
stops,
has
engine is not.
engine is not working. One paper news I heard that.
Things are coming.
Yes.
What is the stage of different installations and all?
What exactly happened, we don't know, madam, that they had actually two black boxes were there in every flight, international flight. They could able to get the information only from one black box. Other one they have not released. What has been recorded, whatever they speak, it gets recorded from the beginning till the end. The black box will continuously record all the information. And at any cost of any type of accident, the black box will not get affected.
But they will identify the other.
Yeah, they have not yet identified the another black box. Probably the remaining signals,
All the
whatever.
boxes will be available in the cockpit area only.
Yes, in the cockpit area. Because whatever they speak, whatever they do, everything gets recorded.
But it will not be kept in the compartment. Passenger
Not in the passenger compartment. Because the signals are given only by the pilot and co-pilot, not the passengers. Passengers will see the cinema in front of the screen or they will.
I am asking us, why the black box should be kept in the cockpit area? Can be kept in passenger area also. If anything, any record discussion they both pilot and co-pilot had, may be recorded in the cockpit area.
Madam,
That
passengers
conversations
cannot-
may be observed from the passenger side also.
But
Why the
passengers
flight
cannot
is
identify.
why the flight is turning up or standing, like there's some conversation that have happened before the accident happens.
I don't
Idea is
think
they can keep black box in the passenger area also.
no, the reason is the passengers are not in a position to see the dashboard instruments.
They cannot predict anything.
They cannot predict anything.
What conversation had happened inside the compartment may also
That
be
can
recorded.
be recorded.
May be helpful to analyze these things.
Maybe, but the practice is to retain both the black boxes only in the cockpit area.
Their future will come because the if cockpit area black box is not able to be identified properly, passenger side it can identify.
I think they will
Many
find out.
passengers are 200 passengers are traveling. Many people might have informed why it is
No, probably after the removal of the broken pieces in Gujarat, what happened 2 weeks before, probably they'll be able to get back the second for ensuring safety is aircraft flap. By extending the flap helps the airplane to fly at lower speed. When the flight wants to get landed, or obviously the speed must be brought under control. Like when even the express train or this one trains, when they come to know that the signal comes, the station is nearby, at least 5 kilometers before they should gradually control the speed. They should not apply the sudden brake. If they do so, the trains will get derailed. So a minimum of 5 kilometer distance should be ensured. At that time itself, they start gradually reduce the speed. So by the time when it is completely reduced, it will reach the station. Similarly, in the Airbus, when the flight gets landed, it's about to get landed, the speed must be controlled. In order to slow down the speed, the flaps are required. By raising the flap, we can slow down gradually. So more safety is ensured. The engine control. Another main important part of this one is the engine control. Throttling and mixturing of the fuel. Two parameters are the major things. What is meant by throttling? The amount of air which enters the engine. In mechanical engineering, we have studied what is meant by throttling of a vehicle. That is ideal speed. So the amount of entering the air should be controlled by the unit called throttle. They have a component called throttle which will control that. Treat the throttle like a gas pedal in a car. So the car like throttle use பண்ணுவோம். The mixture is gas-fuel mixture. What is the ratio of quantum of air and what is the quantum of fuel to be mixed for efficient and more, what I can say, to get more mileage when the fuel is used. The pilots normally they do a process called lean mixture. What is a lean mixture is more air, less fuel. Lean mixture meaning is the quantum of air is supplied is more, the quantum of fuel to be supplied is less. This process is called leaning the mixture, air-fuel mixture. Why should we lean the air-fuel mixture? This is to keep the engine running efficiently at high altitude. That is the main reason why the air-fuel mixture ratio can be slightly adjusted, and that process called mixturing is an automatic process. It's not going to be that manually. There are n number of instruments are there in the cockpit. I have just selected only 6 major instruments which ensures the safety flight operations. The 6 primary instruments are called 6 packs of the vehicle. One is called AI, attitude indicator. Second one is heading indicator. The third one is turn on coordinator. This is airspeed indicator. This is altimeter. The last one is ESI, vertical speed indicator. If the pilot is well known about the mechanism and the working of these 6 main instruments, safe journey is ensured.
Ma'am, I have a question, ma'am.
Let me complete and you can answer. I will explain this. So attitude indicator, heading indicator, turn on coordinator, airspeed indicator, altimeter and VSI, vertical speed indicator are the 6 main things. Now among these 6, the first 3 that what I indicated, that is called as gyroscopic instruments. Gyroscope means there is a disc which will rotate with respect to a vertical axis. It will rotate freely around 360 degrees depending upon the rotation. That is called the gyroscopic concept. So the instruments utilize the properties of gyroscope. Now what I said, that is the concept of this one. The most common instruments is, I will explain one by one clearly in the next slide. Take the first one, attitude indicator. It's a crucial flight instrument. Crucial instrument. If it fails, then the pilot cannot predict any parameters. So what it does? It displays the aircraft orientation related to the air policy. So it indicates the orientation of the aircraft. very particularly in the night time. The flight is operated non-stop throughout the night time also, so they should know whether the hill station, the hills are there and above the sea level and things like that. So it should be known. So especially in low visibility in the night time, this indicator, the altitude indicator, will continuously sense and will indicate the relative distance. The second one is heading indicator. It is also called as horizontal direction indicator. Now, this will normally there is a problem with this heading indicator. What is the problem is the error. Indicators or instruments should not have any errors. Just pick up it. So that that error is minimized by using magnetic compass. We can minimize and we can optimize whereby this instrument is always kept under the perfect working condition. The third one is turn on coordinator. This is again the angle. At what angle it is turning, that angle is continuously monitored by the pilot by using this turn on or turn coordinator device. So this is for taking a turn. Next one is another three instruments I told you, vertical speed indicator and the airspeed indicator and all. So the airspeed indicator measures at what speed, what is the velocity with which now the flight is being operated, that is being indicated by airspeed indicator. Okay, and it indicates in two different units that I have just mentioned. How to convert the kilometer per hour into knot, that relationship I have just given. Similarly, the altimeter, it has got two needles. One is a short needle, another one is a long needle. The short needle indicates the thousands of in terms of thousands of feet, and the long needle indicates hundreds of feet. That distance again. That is being indicated by altimeter. Yes, close to needle. I just had two more slides now. The career prospects. In aviation, the students have a wide range of this thing to go and join in various divisions of the aviation industry. This is also the continuation of that slide. What is the future of aviation industry in India? I just put one slide. Now we don't find any airport is like this. You have a number of flights which is being landing at one point like Dubai or Tokyo airport. But in the near future, it is identified that India will also produce more number of aircraft and they will operate more number of vehicles for many purposes. So let me conclude the basics of aircraft just by showing some 25 or 96 slides. Not gone very in depth in the calculation part. I just showed